Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a situation that really captures the dynamic, sometimes even paradoxical nature of local democracy. Imagine this. Gilosan village, right? Tucked away in the Mehsana district of Gujarat, a place, vibrant with local governance. So recently, they held an election for Sarpanch, that's the head of the village council, and, well, a young woman won. Sounds pretty straightforward. But here's the twist, and it's a big one. She was just 19 years old.
19, yeah, that definitely makes you pause.
Right. So we're going to unpack this fascinating story today. Our mission, really, is to dig into the specifics of this election, understand the legal stuff that immediately came into play.
The frameworks, yeah.
Exactly. And explore what this whole thing reveals about electoral processes, public trust, and that line between youthful ambition and, well, established law. How did she even win? Why did her age become such a flashpoint? And what does it tell us about the checks and balances in our democratic systems?
Lots to get into there.
Okay, so it all started in Gilosan village, an election result that really turned heads. This young woman, Afrozbanu Sipai, stepped into the ring, and her campaign clearly connected with people.
Seems like it.
She wasn't just, a participant. She won, clearly. Secured 4,267 votes.
Right, I saw that number. And her opponent
got 3,755. So it was a decisive victory, a real mandate from her community, you'd think.
Absolutely, a clear win.
But the moment her win was confirmed, this crucial detail just surfaced, her age, 19.
And that's where the legal questions instantly, they just started piling up because you've got the Gujarat Panchayat Act of 1993. That's the rule book for these local elections.
The governing law.
Right, exactly. And it explicitly states the minimum age for a Sarpanch is 21.
21, not 19.
Not 19. So this wasn't just a minor slip-up. It was a direct contradiction of the legal framework. Bang, an immediate problem.
A huge problem. It throws the whole validity of the election into question.
Pretty much. It created this instant conundrum.
A conundrum is right. So, okay, victory confirmed, age flagged. What happened next? How did they verify her age and what did they find? Quickly. Well, apparently her Aadhaar card, the main ID document, listed her birth date as December 8th, 2004.
Okay, so doing the math.
Yeah, that makes her 19 years and 8 months old at the time.
Still under 21.
Definitely. And then her school leaving certificate, that showed January 7, 2005.
Even younger.
Making her 19 years and 7 months. So whichever document you look at, both dates are unequivocally short of that 21-year legal requirement.
No ambiguity there, then.
None.
And Mehsana's provincial officer, Ervish Walland, he confirmed it. Confirmed that a complaint about her age had been received. And yeah, it validated the breach, which, raises a really important question. How? How did this get missed during the nomination phase? Isn't that basic check number one?
You think so?
Yeah.
Was it just an administrative oversight? A slip-up? Or does it point to something bigger, like maybe issues with resources or training for verifying these things locally?
Could be any of those, I suppose. It's a critical failure somewhere in the process.
Well, wait, it gets even more complex. There was another layer to this that popped up pretty quickly.
Oh, what's that?
Despite this confirmed age issue, this legal breach, Afrozbanu was actually scheduled to be felicitated, honored by the chief minister himself.
Get out. Serious?
Yeah, at an upcoming official event in Gandhinagar.
Wow. So the political track was moving ahead even while the legal track was saying, hold on.
Seems like it. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's not just a simple admin error anymore. It's this public celebration potentially outpacing the due diligence.
That creates a really high-profile dilemma, doesn't it? A potentially awkward public unraveling, especially involving the chief minister, makes you wonder about the vetting process higher up, too.
Exactly.
And looking at the bigger picture here, the legal grounds for her disqualification seem, well, rock solid. That Gujarat Panchayat Act, 1993, it's very clear in its disqualification section. Under 21, you're ineligible, period, to be a member of a panchayat, let alone the Sarpanch.
So legally, her election is likely invalid right from the start.
That's what it points to, yes. Which almost certainly means a formal disqualification, and then most likely a by-election to fill the post.
Have there been similar disqualifications before? Not necessarily for age, but for other reasons.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen cases based on, say, having more than the permitted number of children or illegal encroachments on public land.
Yeah.
So there's definitely precedent for enforcing these disqualification rules. Age might be less common for an elected official, but the mechanism exists.
Right. So what does this all mean on the ground for Gilosan village? I mean, the Sarpanch role, it's not just a title, is it?
Not at all. It's a critical, hands-on job at the absolute grassroots level of governance.
Responsible for what, exactly?
Well, the elected head, the Sarpanch, handles local governance functions. We're talking maintaining basic law and order, ensuring essential services like water, sanitation.
Real nuts and bolts stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Implementing government development schemes, managing village finances meticulously. It's a big responsibility.
And this role was strengthened by that constitutional amendment, right? The 73rd.
Yes, back in 1992. That really formalized and empowered the position, highlighting the kind of maturity, experience, and administrative skill needed.
Which presumably underpins that 21-year age limit. It's not just plucked out of thin air.
Precisely. It reflects an expectation of a certain level of life experience and capability.
So given how important the role is, how did people react? The community in Gilosan, the wider public, this must have caused quite a stir.
Oh, definitely.
Public opinion in the village itself, from what we gather, was pretty divided, as you might expect, really. You had some villagers, like Ram Singh, expressing real concern, worrying that their votes cast for development might just be wasted now. You can understand that.
Yeah, a practical concern.
But then you had others, like Sita Devi, pointing to Afrozbanu's youth, her enthusiasm, suggesting, maybe with support, she could still do a good job, bring fresh energy.
Seeing the potential upside, maybe?
Perhaps. And then there was a local shopkeeper, Mohan Lal, who was just plain critical of the officials. How could they miss something so basic, so fundamental, right at the start? You could almost hear the frustration.
That seems like a common thread questioning the process itself.
Totally.
And this split, this division, it was clearly reflected online, too. Social media became a real hot topic for this. It was a fascinating mix, actually. You had the usual lighthearted memes, people joking about, digital age verification for politicians needed.
I can imagine.
But alongside that, lots of serious discussion about the absolute need for better checks in the electoral system.
Did any analysts weigh in?
Yeah, several. Political analysts like Dr. Rajesh Kumar, he really emphasized that this whole incident just highlights the urgent need for better training for election officials. He basically said age verification is fundamental, it's non-negotiable.
A basic requirement.
Exactly. And another analyst, Kriya Patel, she warned this could set a dangerous precedent if it wasn't handled correctly, decisively.
And the legal take?
Pretty clear cut. Legal experts like advocate Ashok Mehta, they firmly confirm what we were saying earlier. The election's invalid. He basically reiterated that the authorities, by law, should declare it void and just hold a by-election. Clean slate.
So the consensus among experts seems pretty strong.
Legally and procedurally, yes. The path seems clear, even if the situation itself is messy.
Now, zooming out a bit, this isn't just about Gilosan, is it? Kind of puts a spotlight on Indian elections more broadly, especially the different rules at different levels.
Absolutely. It's useful to look at the age requirements elsewhere for context.
Right. So Lok Sabha members down in Delhi, they need to be, what, 25?
25, correct. Lower house of parliament.
And Rajya Sabha, the upper house?
30, a bit higher.
And state assemblies, like in Gujarat itself.
25 again, same as Lok Sabha.
So the 21-year rule for Sarpanch is specific to these local bodies.
It is. It clearly reflects a different scale of responsibility, a different type of governance compared to state or national levels. Each tier has its own logic, its own expected level of maturity baked into the law.
Makes sense.
And this whole Gilosan episode, it just hammers home the potential flaws, maybe systemic flaws, in local election processes,
Right.
particularly around this crucial step, age verification during nominations.
You think this will lead to changes? Stricter checks?
It almost has to prompt calls for it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You could see demands for mandatory age-proof submissions, maybe better use of technology, digital document verification, cross-referencing databases, something to prevent these kinds of blunders.
Because it's not just about this one instance, it's about the integrity of the whole system moving forward.
Exactly, safeguarding the process.
And it also kicks off that other debate, doesn't it? A really interesting one. Should these age limits, like the 21 for Sarpanch, even be reconsidered?
That's the million-dollar question, maybe.
On one side, you have the argument for keeping it as is. You need maturity, life experience, a certain gravitas for the role.
The traditional view, yeah. Experience counts.
But then on the other hand, think about the energy, the fresh ideas, the different perspectives that younger people could bring to local governance. There's a real appeal there, too.
Definitely. Injecting new blood, challenging the status quo.
And the fact she was scheduled for that felicitation by the chief minister. that just adds this whole other layer of public controversy, maybe even political pressure. It could influence how quickly or how publicly officials act.
It puts it right in the spotlight, doesn't it? Makes it harder to just quietly resolve. It becomes this sort of tug of war between tradition, law, politics, and maybe even public sentiment.
The real tug of war.
And, this case also really underscores how important public awareness is. Voters need to understand the rules, too, the eligibility criteria for candidates. That's part of maintaining democratic integrity, that shared understanding.
So, the outcome in Gilosan, whatever happens next, whether she somehow stays on until she turns 21, which seems legally unlikely, or if there's a Swert by-election.
Which seems the most probable path according to the law.
Right. That outcome will definitely have ripples. It'll influence local governance practices there, maybe elsewhere too, and certainly impact broader trust in the electoral system. It's a real test case.
It absolutely is. A case study in the making.
Wow, what an intricate situation we've unpacked today. It's just such a clear clash, isn't it? Youthful ambition running right up against the foundational legal requirements of local democracy.
It really is stark when you lay it out.
And it's a powerful reminder, I think, that even in processes we think are straightforward, like elections, these unexpected details can just pop up and challenge the whole system, force us to look closer at how things actually work.
Absolutely. And this whole incident, while it's unique in its specifics, it really serves as a crucial learning moment, a chance to strengthen our democratic processes right from the ground up.
How so?
Well, it forces us to ask, how can we genuinely encourage young people, vibrant youth participation in governance, which is important?
Yeah, we want that energy.
But at the same time, how do we ensure the unwavering integrity of the system, the strict adherence to the laws that underpin it?
Finding that balance.
That delicate but absolutely essential balance. That's the challenge this highlights.
So thinking about this, what does it all mean for you listening in? I suppose it prompts us all to think about just how vital meticulous verification is in any election, big or small.
Every step matters.
And maybe think about how a community, any community, might balance that natural desire for change, for new leadership, with the need to strictly follow the rules, the laws that structure their society.
It's a constant tension in democracy, isn't it?
It really is. Definitely something to mull over as you think about local governance, democracy, and the principles holding it all together.